Joining us tonight to discuss the president's pledge to put small thinking behind us and answer whether House Republican leadership can do just that when it comes to the repeal and replacement of Obamacare. Chairman of the House Freedom Caucus, Congressman Mark Meadows, joining us tonight. Congressman, great to have you with us. There is some rising concern about the leadership's view of what is acceptable and what will make sense for the American people in the repeal of Obamacare. And right now, that does not mean true and complete repeal of Obamacare in the minds of many. Your thoughts?
Lou, you're spot on with your analysis. I can tell you that what happens is a partial repeal and a partial replacement is not something that the American people want us to do. In fact, President Trump said that he was going to repeal it and replace it, but that doesn't mean keep part of the taxes. It doesn't mean do a new tax. It doesn't mean create a new entitlement program. And so, Lou, my concern is that we've got to get this right. The president wants to get it right. He wants to make sure there's a safety net for those people that need it. But the other part of that is we can't do that by raising taxes on the manufacturing workers across the country.
And the Speaker of the House, once again, it's within his control, his power to bring this into line with the 2015 repeal that you all voted on and that President Obama vetoed. Why not, as so many of your colleagues have said, why not just move that legislation and be done with it?
Well, Lou, you're right. I mean, we voted on something. We passed it in the House, passed it in the Senate, sent it to President Obama, and he vetoed it. Why don't we send that same bill to this president, let him sign it? I'm all in favor of putting a replacement plan on the House floor the same day, but we've seemed to conflate the two, and what we're doing is we're making it not really a replacement, not really a repeal. It just becomes another big government program, and to think that this big government program will replace one that doesn't work and that this one will work any better is defying history. And so we've got to get it right. Hopefully we will. I can tell you I've been working today with a lot of my colleagues and Chairman Brady on Ways and Means to see if we can find something that makes fiscal sense for the American people.
That wouldn't include taxes on the American people, that wouldn't include income credits that would, I mean, when we go through this, it's really deeply troubling to me as I watch it from afar. I will tell you, because this president has promised to drain the swamp. It is his agenda that is responsible for the election, not only his election, but of so many in the House and so many in the Senate. And to defy the American people on this is a very big mistake, it seems to me, for Speaker Ryan and his leadership, and there would be an accounting, and it would be, I think, a very damaging to the president.
Well, the president is committed to doing it right. I know I believe him to be a man of his word, and he wants to do it right. We in the House are committed to making sure that we do that. Let me be clear,
Congressman, I'm not talking about him being the architect of that injury.
Right.
I'm saying that Paul Ryan is, and I'm saying it as clearly as I can. It's got to stop.
It certainly is a leadership plan at this point, and what we've got to do, Lou, is work very diligently to make sure that we don't have a new tax. Here's one of the issues that I have with it. It's got a refundable tax credit, which means it has a check coming from the federal government that will go to those who make $250,000 a year or $1 million a year, and so they get the same amount as someone who gets $40,000 a year. I don't see that as fair or reasonable.
Does that credit go to the individual, or does that credit go to the insurance company?
Well, that's a good point. And right now, the way they're talking about is that it would go to the insurance company. However, if there's some left over, it could go to an HSA. You've got all kinds of...
But that becomes a subsidy just as we have now for insurance companies.
Exactly. It's a subsidy by another name.
And these games are being played by a leadership that apparently thinks that we are as foolish as the Democrats were back in 2009 and 10. We're not.
Well, we're not, and I can tell you that I'm hearing from a lot of people across the country who says, you know, what we've got to do is repeal it. And you're right, we did it in 2015. We need to do the same thing today. Senator Rand Paul has a good proposal out there that I believe is better than the one that we're being asked to consider from our leadership. And yet, at the same time, perhaps we blend the two. Perhaps we find a way to take some of what Dr. Rand Paul has done and work on providing a better safety net. I think we just have to get this right and negotiate, but we've got to do it quickly. Everything is stacking up, and we've got tax reforms, we've got to fix the VA, we've got to make sure our military's there, and we've got to get that done before August.
Well, if the leadership of the House is going to continue to be try to keep the American people in the dark, play games with tax credits, refundable tax credits, subsidies, no matter what you call them, and at the same time bring forward another tax, a Cadillac tax on certain plans. I mean, this is a disaster in the making, and I salute you and your colleagues in the Freedom Caucus, in the Republican Study Group, who are trying to make this leadership accountable and to appeal to their honor, if they have any remaining, and do the right thing here for themselves, for this president, and for the country. What do you think the outcome will be?
Well, I think that we'll get a much more conservative bill, and I appreciate your kind remarks. And certainly Mark Walker, the chairman of the Republican Study Committee, came out and made a bold stand. And I think what we're seeing is there is no consensus today. So in order for there to be consensus, we've got to get a real bill that repeals it, replaces it, and make sure that we handle those pre-existing conditions, which we're committed to do.
Congressman Mark Meadows, as always, thank you for all you do, and thanks for being with us here tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Lou.